Welcome back, Famity. Yeah, this is a little bit of an unexpected live stream, but a lot of things have been going on that I haven't touched on, like the death of El Mencho. We're in a war with Iran now, which is absolutely insane. So what I'm saying? I got a little bit of like an unexpected live stream for y'all, so we could check those things out today. Apparently, the war in Iran, I don't know if it's over or not, but like all I've heard is that their supreme leader is dead. The war started literally less than 24 hours ago. I mean, technically it's over 24 hours now, but when he died, it was less than 24 hours. So that's crazy. Like, we're moving insane, but what I'm saying? We're going to hop into that subject and the elemental subject later. But for now, we're just going to look at other creepy TikToks and stuff. So let's just hop into it. You will never see one of these in person. I'm guessing he's talking about this thing that looks like a evil empress. I mean, evil priestess or something. Well, technically it's just priest. I think priestess is the female version of priest.
I could almost guarantee that you're never going to see one of these monks in your lifetime, but in the off chance you do, don't bother them, just observe from afar. This TikTok slideshow that I got tagged in appears to show an individual with an extensive amount of aura, according to the comments. This guy appears to be pretty old, and you'll notice that he has a large cross on his back. What this guy is wearing is known as the Analavos of the Great Schema, which means that he is an extremely high-ranking monk. These monks specifically are a part of Eastern Orthodox Christianity. Their life is extremely minimalistic, either living in monasteries or living as hermits by themselves. Pretty much all of their day is devoted to worship, praying, and preparing for death. If you see somebody wearing these garments, you know that more than likely they have been on this road for decades, because this is not just given to anybody. So seeing this is very rare. You have to be in the right place at the right time, and also very respectful, of course. Like I said, I'd be willing to bet that 99% of the general public has never seen one of these.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to see one of them, if I'm being honest.
Something creepy happens in this video. As this man was going back home, he was able to capture this strange man in his car.
What the? Why did his head move like that? It almost looked like a robot in a way, like, what I'm saying, like the iRobot movies, how they'd just be moving a little bit robotic.
It hasn't even been a week since El Mencho was military operation, and allegedly his organization already has a new leader. But here's where things get interesting. This is the CJNG's alleged new leader. His name is Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez. He's 5'9", weighs 170 pounds, and also happens to be the stepson of El Mencho. But here's the interesting part. He is a US born citizen. He was born in Santa Ana, California. So not only is the CJNG being funded by the US, not only is the CJNG getting all of their weapons from the US, but now the alleged new leader of the CJNG is also from the US? Right. If this doesn't make you sit back and wonder if the USA really is the puppet master of the CJNG and pretty much every other cartel, I don't know what will. It's being widely reported that the Mexican military acted with intelligence from the US. And in my opinion, well, yeah, it's a no-brainer. The US is the one giving them the weapons. The US is the one buying their product. Of course they knew where he was. They probably knew this entire time. But there you have it, guys. The CJNG allegedly has a new leader, and he is also a US citizen. But anyways, let me know what you guys think.
Y'all think the US is funding the Mexican drug cartels? I feel like that's a stretch. I wouldn't be surprised, because for people that don't know, apparently the US also funded like the whole crack in the 80s things. So I wouldn't even be surprised about that. But dude, the whole El Mencho situation is absolutely insane. Like, we started off the year capturing the Venezuelan president. That's January. February, we took out one of the biggest cartel leaders. And pretty much the start of March, which is today, we took out the Iran supreme leader. Yo, what is going on, bro? We're on like a streak. I don't know if it's technically it would be a streak. 3 months, just craziness.
You guys seen the video of the petrified dragon's head found in Romania, deep underground? This is wild, guys. This is why they created the lie of dinosaurs, because dinosaurs never existed. It was dragons. They always found these dragon bones and covered it up and said that they were dinosaurs, but it's always been dragons. There is a reason why every single creature in the Chinese zodiac is a real animal, and then you have this mystical creature, which is the dragon. And it's been depicted throughout all of our ancient history, in ancient artwork, in the Bible, in all religious texts. They've always talked about dragons, and we know that these things are real. It's completely obvious. Look how far underground they found this dragon's head, guys. This is evidence that there was a great reset, there was a great mud flood, and that petrified dragons are 100% a real piece of our history. Peace and love.
Yeah, I don't think that's a dragon head. I feel like if that was truly a dragon head, it would be way bigger. Like, I feel like it's too small. Like, in my opinion, it almost looked like he molded the dirt to kind of look like the head of the head of something. But I definitely don't think that's a dragon. If it was a dragon, like a true dragon, it'd be way bigger. That head would be huge, bro. So he's capping.
In fact, the only thing Usain Bolt ate during the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games was McDonald's chicken nuggets,
That's crazy.
eating about 100 a day during his time in the athletes' village. There's two ways for athletes to eat when they're at the Olympics. Large nations with big budgets like the US or Norway bring in their own chefs and usually import food to ensure their athletes are eating performance-optimizing meals made with ingredients their stomachs are comfortable with. But athletes from nations like Jamaica, without a large budget, eat at the main dining hall with food provided by the host nation. The year before the Olympics, Usain had traveled to Beijing for a test event and eaten at the main dining hall, and he said his body didn't react well to the food. So during the Olympics, he ate the only food he could trust: McDonald's chicken nuggets. He ate over 1,000 nuggets while he was in Beijing and set 3 world records while winning 3 gold medals.
The only food he could trust is crazy. He said he ate McDonald's chicken nuggets because it was the only food he could trust. I feel like McDonald's is the last place you could trust food from. I mean, obviously, I think I touched on it in a couple of videos ago where I talked about how they've found human remains in McDonald's meat, which is absolutely crazy. And not only that, I feel like sometimes the McDonald's chicken nuggets don't even really give me like real chicken vibes. Like, I've eaten McDonald's chicken nuggets before and they don't really seem like real chicken. Like, you know, when you eat real chicken, like you can just feel that it's real chicken. This is just give me like a bunch of mushed and filler garbage. You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe the chicken nugget in, I think they said Beijing is completely different because it is a different country. So like maybe it is different. Said, hold on. They will trick you. Don't open the door.
Take a look at this video. So this is a common home invasion scam that's been going around for a while.
Oh my God.
Guys show up at your front door and they say there's a gas leak in the neighborhood and they need access to your home. 1, never open up the door. Talk to them through an intercom or a Ring camera. Contact the utility company and see if they are actually working in the neighborhood. If they rush you to try and get into your home, it's probably a scam. So be aware, take your time and assess the situation. It sounds like it's dangerous because there might be a gas leak, and they're preying on that. Be well, be safe.
Dude, that's crazy. We've been seeing so many of those go around lately, like the UPS one, where a couple, like 3 dudes broke into this family's house, eliminated the whole family except for like the babies, like I think it was like a 5-year-old and like a 2-year-old or something like that. Eliminated everyone but the kids, which is crazy, bro. Because, you know what I'm saying? They act like they're UPS, which makes no sense because UPS wouldn't really come to your door and knock and be like, hey, you need to take this package. Same thing with this gas leak one. That's even crazier. Like, you know what I'm saying? You hear people come like, hey, there's been a gas leak reported in your area. You're thinking it's a safe option. Whole time they're trying to rob you. That's crazy.
Okay guys, Iran is now being hit with a major wave of cyber attacks following the initial strikes from the US and Israel. So it looks like it's an attack from multiple different angles. In fact, one of Iran's apps for tracking prayer times has been hacked, and it started sending Iranian citizens notifications like help has arrived and it's the time for reckoning. On top of that, a number of Iran's state news broadcasters are also being hacked and they are currently down. Now, this could certainly cause confusion, as you'd imagine, from the public wanting to know what the hell is going on, but their news source is inaccessible, and it could also potentially drive the people of Iran to look for other news sources to find out, potentially ones outside of the country. A lot of developments coming in right now, so make sure you follow. I'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, man. The Iran conflict, dude, like, I'm pretty sure he posted this before they found out that the Supreme Leader died. But it's still crazy to me how quickly and precise everything was. Like, dude. Someone's called me Rastafidi. That's hilarious, bro. That's crazy, man. The world, what has the world come to, guys? Like, everything is just going crazy right now. They caught it.
Scientists just filmed one of the rarest creatures on the entire planet, which is a giant phantom jellyfish, by the way, and it's only been seen 118 times in over a century. This is literally insane. Earlier this month, researchers exploring a submarine canyon off of Argentina sent down a remote-operated vehicle about 253 meters deep. They actually captured footage of a giant phantom jellyfish, and it looks like it's straight out of an alien movie. In 110 years of deep-sea exploration, this species has only been spotted about 118 times. That's not even the craziest part, by the way, because the jellyfish is massive. Its main body is over 3 feet across. And of course, why would it just be a regular jellyfish? Because it's in the deep ocean. They're saying that it has 4 ribbon-like arms that can stretch up to 33 feet long each. That's longer than a school bus. And they're saying that unlike most jellyfish, it doesn't have stinging tentacles. Instead, it wraps the giant arms around fish and plankton like a living net. We have an alien world basically living underneath our ocean. Scientists actually believe that these things are all over the planet. We just can't see them because we can't get down there. Dude, can we please explore the ocean?
Bro, the ocean is deep as hell. Like, I'm pretty sure there's so many different things that are at the bottom of the ocean that we don't even know. I mean, for the longest, they claimed that UFOs or UAPs or USOs, I think they're called as well. Or is it USA or USP? Something like that. They claim that all of these aliens are underwater. So like there's definitely a lot of different variations of all types of stuff that we haven't even like seen or even know exist yet. But they did say NASA like try to explore the ocean. Like I think they explored 5% of the ocean in the whole entire world. And then they were like, nah, we're going to space. And then even people are kind of iffy about that, if they're really going to space or they're just saying that they're going to space.
Check it out, family. Y'all see that? Yeah, your eyes is not being deceived. Y'all seeing what the fuck y'all saw and saw what the fuck y'all seen. And that lady there is morphing into a goddamn lizard. Right in our face in 4K. Wow. And this just happened, y'all. 2026, the veil is thinning. Fuck that. I think it's gone at this point. And for Trump to shake her hand casually and not be afraid, let me know he one of them motherfuckers too. On 4 no grade. Shit is crazy.
Dude, I don't know what's wrong with her eyes, but she looks like she has what's that syndrome that they call it when people are in war and their eyes go like, I think like shock, like shell shock. Yeah, it looked like she kind of got a little bit of shell shock right there. Like I don't know why her eyes were like so wide. That was kind of creepy actually. She crashed out after winning Bad Salt.
Not too well. So bleeding. You might not believe me, but it took me about an hour and a half to find the context to this clip, so hopefully that was worth it. One of my followers requested the context behind this clip. It shows a woman on what appears to be a game show. He asks to open up this cupboard number 5, and inside we see something labeled Bad Salt. Now, the original post that I got tagged in on TikTok made it seem like this was some morbid moment caught on live TV. In reality, this is more of a meme. This video was recorded in Sweden 17 years ago, so it's a really old one. And as you guys could probably guess, I do not speak Swedish. What I gather, though, is this woman had the opportunity to win a vacation, and she had traveled from the faraway town of Lidköping. So when she won a bunch of bad salt, or bath salts, she was very upset and a sore loser. The only thing is, I did see some sources state that this was a commercial, and that the whole clip here is set up, but regardless, it is a really big meme. I would recommend looking up the entire original video, but if I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's not really worth it if you don't speak Swedish. You're not going to understand anything.
Bro, I thought they said when she crashed out, like she, I don't know, fought somebody on the show or something. She just got upset. Like, what? Maybe we got to watch the whole clip or something.
Have you ever watched the ghost cams at the Willard Public Library? Supposedly the building is so haunted that they've set ghost cameras up to catch paranormal activity, and you can find it all streaming live on their website. This is something that has just recently been brought to my attention by the creator that I've tagged in my description, so of course, when I heard about this, I had to go see it for myself. And it's true, they actually have ghost cams on at all times. On their website, they also give you a history of the known apparition that has been reported there the most, and they call her the Gray Lady. They've even had police summoned there because of a security alarm that was triggered, and according to these officers, one of them went inside to investigate and the other watched from the parking lot. Well, the officer that was in the parking lot said that he saw the ghost of a woman with a shadowy figure beside her through the window of the building. So when his colleague emerged, he asked if he had seen them, but they found no trace of anyone inside. Here's another story from the library assistant that's posted on their website. It says, shortly after being hired, a library assistant bravely addressed the Gray Lady while walking alone on the adult services floor. She politely asked not to be frightened and suggested the ghost communicate in gentler ways. Moments later, the elevator doors opened unexpectedly, the call light illuminated despite no one being inside. The assistant approached cautiously, finding the elevator empty. She believed this encounter was the Gray Lady's response, welcoming her to the staff. I guess when the bathrooms were remodeled, the toilets started flushing on their own, so they had to call plumbers in, but there was no cause found. There was also a new projector that was installed that would move up and down by itself, so they called technicians in to investigate, but they couldn't figure it out either. They have this picture of the library founder's daughter hanging above the copier machine, and some people think that she could be the Gray Lady.
Wait, is this Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ghislaine? Do I know you?
They do look kind of similar.
No. I used to order hella pizza off of her. Oh, really? She always delivered, yeah.
This video has been going viral online, and although Grok says that this video has been heavily edited, it says that the base video looks to be real from Quebec City, Canada. Obviously, this looks a lot more like Ghislaine than this. People are also wondering who's the guy she's talking to. And there's a lot of people that think it looks a whole lot like Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's lawyer. But what about the cane? I couldn't find any photos of Alan walking with a cane, but it turns out that in June of 2015, Alan Dershowitz reported that he was walking with a cane due to injuries sustained from falling on a puddle at TD Gardens in 2012. What are the odds? The internet's wild and who knows what's real, but when he says Ghislaine and she does that double take, ooh, that does seem suspicious. Do you think this is a lookalike or the real deal? Because if this video's real, the teeth look the same and so do the eyes and nose. As always, let me know what you think about all of this down below.
Not gonna lie, the teeth look almost exactly the same. Like, obviously these ones are a little bit different, but they kind of have the look. The nose is a little bit off, I'm not gonna lie. Eyes, yeah, I can see it. But part of me is still kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like going to Canada, Quebec is like the worst spot you could go after like getting exposed like that, if I'm being honest. And why the hell does she not have like a face mask on? Like, if I was Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein and I've escaped the US, I would not go outside with my face bare out like this, respectfully. Like, everyone is gonna look and be like, oh yeah, aren't you that girl that like helped the weird dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is a little bit too obvious. If she really did escape and do all the things that they claim that she's doing, like hiding in other countries and stuff. Someone said the video might be AI. Yeah, I can see it.
Oh.
I can see it possibly being AI or heavily edited.
Okay guys, breaking news. Has it just happened again? A man is just being shot and killed attempting to enter Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. Here's what we know so far. So the man's identity not yet being released, but he was described only as a white male in his 20s who was carrying a gas canister and a shotgun. So safe to assume he wasn't there as a fan. Now the individual was seen by Secret Service trying to make their way into the inner perimeter of Mar-a-Lago. Security ordered the man to drop his weapons, and that's when he dropped the gas canister but raised the shotgun into a firing position, and at that point the agents fired their weapon to neutralize the threat. Now the sheriff said that those involved in the shooting were wearing body cameras, so maybe we will see that footage at some point, but they are also looking into motive and collecting evidence. Now what's strange about this though is that Trump and Melania were staying at the White House at the time. They were not at Mar-a-Lago, so it's unclear if this person knew that or not. We still don't know why they were there in the first place, but as we know more, I'll make an update.
Yeah, he definitely did not know that Trump wasn't at the Mar-a-Lago. because bro, that's you're just wasting your time at that point. Like you literally died for no reason. But at the same time, dude, I feel like there's been so many attempts on Trump's life. And obviously the first time back in July, I think it was 2024, that was like the main one that everyone's like, oh because he got pretty close, I'm not gonna lie. But every other one where he's at the golf course and the Mar-a-Lago one that just happened, you know what I'm saying? These, like, it's gonna be a lot harder for anyone to really get as close as they did the first time, because plus now the Secret Service knows, I mean, at least they've been known, that people really want to take this dude out. So I feel like it's gonna be a lot harder going towards the future to do all of that, in my opinion.
On June 20th, 2018, 15-year-old Lisandro Gomez Feliz, who went by Junior, just after 10 p.m. gets a text message from his friend Jason Velez, who lived about 2 blocks over, and Jason was asking Junior if he wanted to come over and listen to music with him. So he says, sure, I'll come meet you. At about 11:30, Junior says he wants to go, and so he says bye to Jason, and he starts walking back towards his apartment, but instead of going to his apartment, he walks past it towards an area known as Adams Place. Adams Place was notorious for gang activity, and since it wasn't broad daylight and Junior was not in a gang, this is a pretty risky move for him. But Junior had a very close friend that lived right near Adams Place, and this friend of his was not in a gang either, and Junior wanted to hang out with him. And so as he's walking over to Adams Place, he texts this friend and says, hey, I'm going to be there in a minute. And his friend writes back, don't come here. It's not safe. There's some people outside that are a little bit sketchy. There's some cars in the area that we don't recognize. Stay away from Adams Place. But at the same time, Junior's getting this text message, a security camera picks up 4 cars full of gang members going past Adams Place and turning onto the road that Junior's on, and they start driving up towards him. And as they drive past Junior, they start yelling out at him and taunting him and making fun of him. And Junior, who's scared, just starts running, and right away the cars start chasing him, and they immediately cut around another side street and they cut him off. So he goes in the bodega and he yells for the store manager to let him over the counter to hide, and this store manager, who's used to gang violence in this area, is not quick to want to help this guy. He's worried he's gonna get robbed, and you see all these gang members get out with machetes and knives, and they make their way into the bodega. One of the more aggressive gang members just reaches across and grabs Junior and starts pulling him into the streets, and they proceed to
crazy.
The gang responsible for Junior's death was the Trinitarios, which is a Dominican gang that was born out of New York prisons, and over the past couple of years, their violence has skyrocketed. But Junior's death wound up being very unique. After his death, one of the leaders of the Trinitario gang posted to social media that the was actually an accident, that this was a case of mistaken identity. Apparently someone had been disrespectful to a gang member's niece, and that night those 4 cars were out there looking for him, and apparently they expected to find him near Adams Place, and he looked enough like Junior that they decided that's the guy, and Junior was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The gang would apologize to Junior's family on social media and said they kicked the killer out of the gang, and the 5 people that were responsible for Junior were ultimately convicted of murder and given life sentences.
Yeah, that's crazy, chat. Yo, shout out to everyone this is their first time catching a live. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to be a lot more consistent with my lives, at least once or twice a week. So shout out to everyone that's finally caught a live. But also this story about Junior, I remember this like it was yesterday, bro. Back in like 2018, I think this video got released to the internet of this dude that looked exactly like Junior. Like, let me show you what Junior looks like. This guy. That looks exactly like this dude. Like, they looked so similar. It's actually insane. It looks exactly like him. Apparently, he was, you know what I'm saying? He dropped a couple tapes, like some Kim Kardashian, Ray J type tapes, if y'all know what I'm trying to say, of this gang leader's niece getting absolutely demolished. So, you know what I'm saying? He posted that all over the online, like bragging, having his phone up and stuff. The dude that did it wasn't this dude that's on the screen right now, but he looked exactly like him. And they were looking for the dude that actually posted them tapes, and they didn't see anybody. They thought they were going to see somebody, but they saw this dude that looks exactly like the dude in the video, but it actually isn't the dude in the video. Thought it was the dude, and accidentally ended up like, you know what I'm saying? It was really bad. They accidentally they eliminated him in the most brutal way possible. And apparently after they got done like hitting him up a little bit, he actually survived the initial impact and ran to the hospital, but he ended up passing out right in front of, I think, either the hospital door or in front of someone's house or something like that, right before he got to the hospital. But it was a sad story, bro. It was so viral back in like 2018. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. The coffin tragedy, the bullet catch.
Razor swallow. On July 11th, 1938, magician Vivian Hensley was performing at home for his son in Brisbane, Australia.
Gucci Mane is not the original Gucci Mane. Lift your spirit with the $10 donation. Thank you so much. Absolutely amazing.
Razor swallow. On July 11th, 1938, magician Vivian Hensley was performing at home for his son in Brisbane, Australia. Hensley was 43 years old, a comic performer, known for his razor-swallowing trick. It wasn't meant to be real. It was sleight of hand, misdirection, and timing. A clever illusion that made audiences gasp. In his act, Hensley would pretend to toss a razor blade into his open mouth. In reality, he'd palm the blade, hide it against his hand, and slip it discreetly into his coat sleeve while pretending to chew and swallow. Then, with a flourish, he'd pass his hand before his mouth and make the blade reappear, safe and gleaming, as if plucked from thin air. That afternoon, Hensley decided to demonstrate the trick at home for his son, a small, casual performance of a father showing his boy how magic worked. But this time, something went terribly wrong. As Hensley mimed the motion, the razor slipped from his fingers. Before he could react, the real blade flew back into his throat. Reflexively, he swallowed. There was no illusion now, only a real sharp razor lodged deep inside his esophagus. He felt it immediately, a slicing pain that made him choke and cough. His family rushed him to the hospital. Doctors took x-rays. The blade was deep, beyond easy reach. Surgeons operated, searching for it, but the metal had already begun cutting through internal tissue as it moved downward. Over the next 4 days, infection and internal bleeding set in. Despite every attempt to save him, Vivian Hensley's injuries worsened. He died from the internal damage caused by the swallowed razor.
Dude, I wonder how painful that must have been. Like, you know what I'm saying? As it just kept going through his body, it just kept just like slicing at his organs as it passed through. That's definitely one of the most sufferable ways to die. Like, unsufferable, I should say. Like, that's insane, dude.
Want to be here for this, but here we are. This is Tammy, who is getting home from a friend's house when she catches an encounter on camera that no one is believing. She's now giving us another video, not zoomed in. Look at this light. I'm going to start it over. This is the light we all need to be keeping our little eyeballs on. And I'm going to apologize in advance because Tammy gets out of her car and then it sounds like this light thing talks to her.
Sounds like a lady. Just saying
It
hello.
sounds like it tells her hello. However, whenever she looks across the street, she realizes it's not only something that shouldn't be speaking English, it's something that shouldn't even be able to speak at all. She sees that it's moving on all fours, like a dog. Except it then like morphs. And then by the time she's walking to her house, she glances back and the thing looks like it's like 10 feet tall. Right here at the ends that you see how tall this light is. The whole light encounter started like just maybe a foot from ground level. The entire thing is creepy as hell, but besides it telling her hello, Tammy literally like doesn't say anything at all. There is fight, flight, but there is also freeze. And what we witness right here at this second is her freezing. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't understand what she is seeing, and she's pretty sure whatever it is had just told her hello. It takes her a minute. She tries to figure out if she needs to be getting back in her car or getting into her house. She chooses to go into her house. She had taken a couple sips of something, which was why she was probably so calm for this. Good job to her for pre-medicating before this encounter. I don't think she should have been driving though. And it is either one of two things. Either an interdimensional being or quadrobics. Either of which I want to know as much as I now know. Strongly recommend just posting your funny memes in the comment section and moving on about your life. Before anyone asks, no, this didn't happen in the Appalachian Mountains, but close. It happened in Alabama.
I mean, I think she froze because she didn't really sense that she was in any immediate danger. Like the fight or flight response happens when you think you're in danger. Like this thing just said hello and just has a light just like shining around. I don't think she was like, damn, I'm about to die right now. So like, I don't even think she froze for real. I think she was just like sitting there thinking to herself, like, what the hell is, like, who just said hi to me? And like, what's that light over there? You know what I'm trying to say? I don't think she was really too panicked. So I don't even think there was no fight or flight response that kicked in. That's just my opinion though.
So there's a conspiracy theory online at the moment that Jim Carrey has been cloned, and this is his clone or his stunt double. And I looked into it because I wanted to disprove it, and I just thought that maybe Jim Carrey got a bit of plastic surgery or something's going on. I have no idea. The more I looked into it, the weirder it got, because this is Jim Carrey not long ago at the awards show. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, he does look different, but it's not like he looks different straight away. But then I noticed he went on the Colbert show just recently, 9 days prior to him showing up with long hair. Like, this is him 9 days prior to that show in France. Your hair cannot grow that quickly. What's going on?
Yo, dude, I have no idea what is going on with Jim Carrey. But yeah, this does not look like him, for sure. This right here is not the same person. Like, I don't know if he had like plastic surgery done. Maybe he did like a, I don't know, like a lip filler or something. Raise his face. Like, I don't even know, bro. Like, if they cloned anybody, I feel like Jim Carrey would be who they cloned, because he was on a rampage exposing everything and everything and everything. And then now he's just like, he looks completely different. I wonder what that's about. It's either he's like doing some type of public stunt or doing some type of like movie role or something, but that does not look like the same person in my opinion. This body donation
facility was caught doing experiments like Victor Frankenstein.
Really, like using
Mike, I'm gonna get into it. It's so weird. So this happened in 2014 in Phoenix, and there's this facility that pretty much is for donating dead bodies for like medical research or science. There's this guy named Stephen Gore. I'm pretty sure he runs this facility out there in Phoenix. At the time, there was this woman who wanted to donate her son's body after he passed. So she goes to this facility. It might have been a couple weeks or so after. I think she wanted to see her son's body again, or something happened where she was like, can I see him one more time? Whatever. They had a weird reaction to her wanting to see her son. She calls police. So police eventually go over there and they investigate. Brother, you're not going to believe this. They walk in, they find blood everywhere, buckets or bins, like it's a bucket full of human heads.
Really?
It's like they said they found a cooler that had male genitalias in there. So they had a bunch of in a ice chest.
Yeah.
They were stitching people's bodies together for like fun or something.
Really?
And like Frankenstein. Like they were taking, allegedly, that they saw a kid's head on a grown woman's body.
What the hell?
And they were doing weird things like that.
Yo.
And they found out that these people were not only just basically running a chop shop, they were selling all these parts.
Yeah.
And then people didn't know who the fuck was buying it. So let's ask the question, Mike.
Who is buying all this
Now
stuff?
we're going to go back into what we was talking about. And I don't know if it was all of them, but specifically this person, Stephen Gore. They ended up getting released. So basically he spent, I guess, 12 months in prison, so almost a year, and then he had to do 4 years after of house arrest.
Yo.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know who was buying those body parts, bro. Probably Epstein, honestly. That's the only person I'm thinking about. You would not want to be the mayor of this town. Rare aesthetic being the mayor of Greensburg, Kansas on May 4th, 2007.
I really find it hard to imagine what it would be like in this guy's shoes, knowing that 95% of the town that you're the mayor of is now wiped off the map entirely. This TikTok video that I got tagged in doesn't have a lot of context. It says Rare Aesthetic being the mayor of Greensburg, Kansas on May 4th, 2007, and shows the mayor, Lonnie McCollum, shaking people's hands after a horrible disaster. The image behind me shows the town of Greensburg, Kansas, as it normally looked prior to this incident, and this is what it looked like after a massive EF5 tornado swept through, destroying over 90% of the town. At around 9:45 p.m. on May 4th, the EF5 tornado with wind speeds over 200 miles per hour hit Greensburg, killing 11 people, injuring over 60, and destroying pretty much everybody's property. Lonnie promised to build the town back better, which he did help with, and in good news, the town is now running off of 100% wind energy after rebuilding. Still, it's crazy to look at these images like this because it literally looks like an apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah, that's whole town got ripped up, dude.
They were saying, Iran, what's new with you? The war started. Wait, what? We started bombing Iran, and Trump said that we're dropping more bombs, and it's a huge military operation. The war started without Congress? Yeah, which is kind of messed up. Even Representative Thomas Massey said that those acts of war are unauthorized by Congress. So how are you doing this? Well, Trump is calling this a military operation. An operation, you and Israel dropped bombs on several of my cities. In Iran, what happened to you? There were actually strikes near our Supreme Leader's office. But what happened to him? Well, so far we said that he was safe. And now we're attacking Israel. And after that, Trump posted an 8-minute video confirming that the US is involved and that American lives might be lost in this. He even told Iranians to stay inside because there will be a lot of bombs happening. He kept blaming this on Iran trying to build a nuclear weapon. So you're going to be bombing the whole country now? Well, he said that he wants to get rid of Iran's leadership. So you want to control me too, like you controlled Venezuela? Well, you killed protesters. But you want me to believe that if you took over me, you'll be nice to my citizens? Well, Trump said that it's their chance for freedom. Yeah, the magic word. Freedom.
Yeah, chat. Honestly, y'all really think they're specifically attacking Iran because they're building nuclear bombs? You know what I'm saying? Like that's their main argument. They're like, we don't want them to build nukes. We don't want them to build nukes. But I've seen so many videos of Netanyahu from 2012 claim that Iran is like only days away from creating nukes. But here we are like 12, 14, 15 years later, and they still haven't created a nuke. At least not that we've known of. And since the US is so highly intelligent with all these technologies they have from space that can apparently look through walls and stuff, I'm guessing they really haven't created a nuke yet. Like they might be getting closer and closer, but I don't think they've really fully been there yet. So y'all really think we are in Iran just for nukes? Me personally, nah. I think there's definitely a deeper reason, but I feel like the nuke is like the cover up, like, oh yeah, we just don't want them to create nukes. Like that's probably also a reason, but I feel like there's a deeper reason than just that reason. Probably gonna look at
this video released by NASA, and this is the ISS. They took a time lapse of the globe, literally hurtling around in space, flying over the globe. The atmosphere, you can actually see it there. This is some good editing. I mean, filming. They certainly didn't edit it at all. But here's what I want to ask. You ever wondered why rockets, when they launch in, Florida or wherever they are, they never go straight up, right? They curve. Now, they say they curve to build up momentum and speed to then be able to blast out of the atmosphere and go into space. Now, my question is, are they turning right or left when they launch because they are trying to build up speed to get it out through the atmosphere? Or are they turning left and right and curving because there's a firmament up there that they're not getting through? I, for one, am glad that the truth is getting out there about many things in today's world, including what's going on with the food and water supply. Chemicals, pesticides, fluoride accumulating in our vessels, very unfortunate. If you think it might be important to start detoxing, right now Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, which massively stimulates stem cell production, and it's super detoxing and delicious. And if you combine that with the hot water purified Shilajit, you're
Yeah, bro, trying to advertise. Breaking: Trump says Americans may die fighting Iran. That's scary. The last time something like this happened, we had airplanes in 2 of our buildings. Hopefully that never happens again. Hopefully nothing crazy comes out of this situation. But if Trump is saying Americans may die, in my opinion, that literally means stay out of big cities and don't go to Iran anytime soon.
We have major breaking news.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
Crazy.
That often happens in war.
That's a crazy statement.
This family game show was interrupted to show some horrifying final images and videos. KA7 was a popular competition show in Chile where players would face off in physical challenges. In the middle of the broadcast, the host stopped the show to share some breaking news about the network. Earlier that morning, a TVN news crew, including 2 famous hosts, had boarded a plane to cover this earthquake. It was a small military plane heading to Robinson Crusoe Island, but it never arrived. During the live broadcast, viewers were told that the aircraft had crashed into the ocean and that everyone on board was presumed dead. The interruption shocked the country, especially the TVN news staff who was reporting on their co-workers' and friends' death in real time. In the following days, debris and bodies were recovered. Investigators later determined that the plane had faced severe winds and made multiple failed landing attempts. What most likely happened is that they ran out of fuel before crashing into the sea. But the story didn't end there. When divers were uncovering the wreckage, they found camera footage that was filmed minutes before the crash. It showed passengers talking and smiling, completely unaware that this was their final moment.
That's terrifying.
Also, hi, I'm Grace. Can I be your horror girlie? Even more unsettling, one of the camera's SD cards contained some distorted images. After enhancing them, one of them actually appeared to show water covering up a plane's window, and this was time-stamped after the impact. The SD card was found inside a sealed water bottle. This led to a chilling theory that I don't even think is a theory, I think this is what happened. The cameraman survived the crash long enough to save the footage before the plane sank, meaning whoever took it, this was the last thing they ever did. They snapped this picture and then they wanted to make sure someone found it, so they put it in a water bottle to keep it safe from when they drown.
That's crazy. What the hell? Bro, that's top
In
10 level
2016,
thinking.
NYPD's Special Victims Division began investigating Anthony Weiner's laptop, and the hard drive was called
Anthony
Life
Weiner.
Insurance, and it had a video on it called Frazzle Drip.
What the hell?
I've only heard things, but in 2019, all within 2 months, 9 officers from NYPD supposedly killed themselves.
Wow.
All by gun wounds to the head. Then they also had a deputy chief and the head of investigations do the same thing within 24 hours of each other. So what in the world? This is an anomaly within an anomaly. Like, how is this not national news? How? What the heck is going on? Oh my gosh.
Golfing
What is
chick.
going on?
Yeah, she be exposing stuff, man. Someone said the golfing chick. I'm dead. Yeah, I don't know. Every time I hear self-elimination or self-this, self-that, I really question it because I'm like, dude, it's always the people that are about to expose something big or like, you know what I'm saying, show footage of something big. They always just get gone. And once they get gone, they're like, oh, you know, they just had a depressing life and they just wanted to just, you know what I'm saying, just eliminate. I'm just like, bro, are we being for real? Like, Bohemian Grove list.
We may have just gotten a list for the elites that were attending Bohemian Grove in 2023. You know, the place where the elites meet up and there's the huge owl, and they're known for the very controversial cremation of care ritual where no one really knows till this day what's going on there. But the elites go there for some type of retreat every year and they stay there for about 2 weeks. And there's rumors of some just super wealthy and powerful elites that go here. But the problem is, no one could get in, and only a couple people have snuck in, and they can only record from extremely far in the hills, and you can just hear weird voiceovers of acting and a bunch of people sitting down at dinner while people are doing this big show for them. But what's really going on and who is attending this ceremony? According to the New York Post, a journalist hounded one of the members, and it has been confirmed by a member, and he got a list of about 2,000 people, and they were broken up into mini camps where they described it like something like fraternities. I don't think he released the full list yet, but there's rumors of Conan O'Brien, Clint Eastwood, and I think they put a couple names here. There's Nancy Pelosi's husband, the founder of Bloomberg. Here are the lists on the New York Post article, but if we get more information on any of this, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated because this literally just came out.
It's crazy stuff, bro. I feel like we already known those people are doing
Imagine
that, though.
being such a terrible person that you take your girlfriend or wife out in the middle of nowhere and then abandon her.
Bruh.
She has no idea what to do, much less where to go, and you know it, and you did it intentionally. Isn't this attempted murder? Not only is that exactly what happened to this woman, it is such a known thing for men to do to women. They have a term for it. Alpine divorce. Getting so dangerous for women and girls that they are now making videos warning other women to never go hiking with a man.
Anytime you think about being a woman, do not go.
Shouldn't all of these men be arrested for this? Because people have lost their lives. This woman, Tony, Her husband Harold made her go for a hike with him. She didn't survive that hike.
Damn.
When investigators examined her death, they found he had found the exact spot where everything happened, marked on a map with an X on it. Not only had he planned this whole thing out, they were able to prove that he had went to this exact spot 6 times before dragging this woman out there and ending her life. This woman, I'm going to tag her where I can, shares her story where her husband did it to her not 1, not 2, but 3 times in the course of 2 days. Women who are lucky enough to make it out of here alive, do you know what's saving them? Other hikers. Complete strangers are finding these women and then helping to get them to safety.
They're calling it an alpine divorce. I've never heard that in my existence. Me personally, I do think, oh my gosh. Shout out Seb TV for the $20 donation. I shouted him out in my last video. Bro's the GOAT, the GOAT. So I think I said it in my last stream too. Check out Seb TV's channel for those who are also like creepy stuff like this. Absolute legend. But like I was saying, what is it? The alpine divorce? That is crazy. In my opinion, dude, you know what I'm saying? If you don't like someone and you do want to just leave them on a hike, like, I don't know how you would do that. Like, would you just, like, leave them there and just run away? Or, like, hey, I'm going to go take a piss real quick. Go take a piss and then never return. Like, how do you even do that? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, how does that even happen? But in my opinion, bro, if you're messing with somebody and they do this to you, yeah, you definitely never want to talk to them ever again. Like, ever again. In my opinion. What the hell? That's definitely AI. That's 100% AI. Yo, I have 903 people in the live stream. That's crazy. That's the most amount of people ever had in a live stream. Shout out every single one of y'all.
Iceberg of places where people disappear. Obviously on the top we got the Bermuda Triangle, which is the most famous one. I'm sure everybody knows about this one. But this is an area in the Atlantic Ocean between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico where there are a lot of different mysterious disappearances. The most famous disappearance is probably Flight 19, which was where there was 5 Navy bomber planes that all disappeared at the same time back in 1945. And it was so weird, like even whenever the rescue plane went to come and find them, it also vanished, and there's still no traces of those planes to this day. Next up we got Lake Superior. So Lake Superior is really famous for all of its freezing weather and storms and 350 recorded shipwrecks. This lake is so massive it has like ocean-like conditions sometimes where it can have 30-foot waves, and it has an estimated 10,000 deaths specifically linked to this lake in the past few centuries. But this is the place where the famous Edmund Fitzgerald sunk. But an even more mysterious disappearance was that of the ship SS Bannockburn, often called the Flying Dutchman of the Great Lakes. This ship disappeared with 21 crew members back in 1902, and we have found no evidence of where it went other than an oar and a life preserver. And it's really crazy for a freshwater lake to have lost a ship completely and thus not find any evidence of where it was actually at or where it sunk. Next up we got Yosemite National Park. So Yosemite National Park has received 1,000 missing person reports since record keeping has began, and there are still more than 30 cases left unsolved. But you know, the combination between millions of visitors each year, the vastness of the park, and the challenging terrain makes these numbers kind of make sense, I think. But some people think that this park is cursed, specifically Tenaya Canyon, where people like to say that the former chief of the Anawasheshe people cursed this area after they were forcefully removed from it, and that this area specifically is bad and a lot of people go disappearing here. Next up we got Superstitious Mountains in Arizona. So this is an area close.
Damn, I really hate when they just like part 2 it. I don't have the part 2 for this, but yeah, those were some of them.
There are 4 animals in the world that choose to hunt people. That's it. We think there's hundreds. There aren't. There are tigers, there are leopards, there are crocodiles, and there are polar bears. At the top of that list is polar bears. Nothing can stand up to a polar bear. Polar bears have a sense of smell that's 10,000 times greater than the best bloodhound dog. They have strength that's unparalleled. They can stand 14 feet tall. They have knives for hands. They can open a car like it's a can of tuna. They are unbelievable predators. And they don't look menacing. When you see a polar bear, you're like, oh. And then you see one covered in blood eating a walrus and you're like, oh my god. There are 4 animals in the world.
Yeah, polar bears are like honestly some of the worst animals. Well, not animals, but some of the worst animals. Yeah, it is animals. Some of the worst animals you could ever be around, dude. If you find yourself for some reason around a polar bear, you're cooked, gang. I'm sorry. It's over.
This is Java Man, one of the most significant transitional fossils in the timeline of human evolution. Because this doesn't belong to a modern human. It belongs to our ancestor, Homo erectus, one of the first human species on the planet that we know of. Homo erectus first appeared about 2 million years ago in Africa and existed for over 1.5 million years. During this time, they learned how to control fire, allowing them to cook meat. Possibly one of the reasons brain size got bigger. Also made more sophisticated stone tools, like the hand axe. We're also the first hominins to migrate outside of Africa, and they spread out everywhere, with populations settling through different parts of this range, and eventually evolving into new species, like Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo sapiens, and the Hobbit people. I talk all about them in the newest episode of my Human Evolution series out now. It's on YouTube, go check it out.
Shout out my channel members.
Alright, so I was watching it again. Hold on, I'm gonna play it. And you can straight up see the aliens here. Check it out, I'm gonna pause it. Look at this. Look at that. I know it's really hard to see. That's crazy though.
That is crazy.
I need to reach out to the estate sale people. That's crazy.
Dude, I have this theory that even if we do see aliens, they're not gonna realistically look like what they look like in the movies. If I'm being honest, I feel like they're gonna have like some sort of differences. Like you might look at them and be like, "Yo, what is that? Like that's not normal." But I don't think they're gonna necessarily look like what we've seen in the movies. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this kind of looks like what we've seen in the movies and stuff.
Garden of Eden might have been a real place, and we still don't know where it was. In the book of Genesis, Eden isn't described as floating in the sky. It's described with geography. A river that is split into 4. 2 of those rivers named the Tigris and the Euphrates, and those are real rivers. They still exist today in the Middle East, which means Eden, if it was based on a real location, would have been somewhere in that region. So why haven't we found it? Because landscapes change, floods reshape land, and rivers shift over thousands of years. Some researchers believe if Eden exists.
Shout out Norzy, bro became a channel member. You get some cheers for that. Yes, sir.
Existed as a real place, it may be buried beneath sediment or underwater. After the last ice age, sea levels rose dramatically. Entire regions disappeared, and here's the unsettling part. The earliest chapters of Genesis read less like fantasy and more like ancient memory. A place, a garden, lost. Not destroyed in fire, just gone. Somewhere between myth and geography, somewhere between symbolism and soil. And after thousands of years of searching, no one can point to a map and say, there, not proven, not disproven, just missing. Sometimes what we can't locate feels more disturbing than what we can.
Bullet holes have been found in an American Airlines 737 after a flight from Colombia. Damn. This happened after American Flight 924 flew from Medellin to Miami just yesterday on a 737 MAX 8. The flight operated as normal, but after landing, crews on the ground realized there was bullet holes in the plane's right aileron. It's unclear if the shots were fired while the plane was on the ground spending the night in Colombia before the flight, or if it was during a phase of flight where the plane is close to the ground, such as landing or taking off. The plane has since been ferried to Dallas for maintenance.
Don't they check planes before they take off though? Like if I feel like there was bullet holes in the plane before it took off, I feel like someone would have seen it and said something, or someone would have at least just seen it. That makes sense. In my opinion, I feel like when it was taking off from I think they said it was coming from Colombia. When it was taking off from Colombia, some random probably was just shooting in the air, boop 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 boop, and hit the wing or something. That's my assumption. Or maybe when it was landing in Miami, but I don't think people in Miami would do that. But you never know.
An elevator at the Empire State Building fell 80 floors to the bottom, but the rider survived it. On July 28, 1945, Betty Lou Oliver had her last day working at the Empire State Building when a B-25 plane got lost in thick fog over Manhattan and crashed into the 80th floor where Betty was working. She survived with severe burns and a few broken bones, and first responders put her on a stretcher to to load her into the elevator to take her down to the ground floor for medical treatment, but they didn't know the plane had damaged all 6 cables holding up the car. So when the elevator started to move, the cables snapped. And for the first time in history, the safety system failed because the main governor cable that triggers the safety brake had been destroyed. She fell 80 floors to the bottom, but survived again. Here's how. First, the elevator shaft was a sealed tube, like a giant syringe. As the elevator fell, it acted like a piston, pushing air down the shaft. But air is compressible, so the air beneath the elevator got squeezed tighter and tighter as it picked up speed. That increasing pressure pushed back against the falling elevator, creating a cushion of compressed air that slowed it down instead of it letting it reach terminal velocity. And second, when the 6 cables snapped, they fell to the base of the shaft. Steel cables don't lie flat though. They coil and compress like a mattress spring, absorbing the kinetic energy and converting it into elastic potential energy. Third, the concrete floor crumpled like an eggshell. When the impact hit, the concrete shattered and absorbed energy through deformation. So Betty spent 4 months in the hospital, but fully recovered. And 5 months later, she went back to the Empire State Building and rode an elevator to the top, with the Guinness World Record for the longest elevator fall ever survived.
Dude, this lady gotta be one of the luckiest people alive. Not only was she injured from the initial impact of the plane to the building, she then fell down, I think he said 80 stories, and survived. What? Yo, she was lucky, dude.
Out of all the autopsy reports I've done on my channel, my page, this one is definitely going to be the hardest one to get through. This is going to be the autopsy report of Mac Miller. If y'all don't know who Mac Miller is, man, I don't know what you're doing. But Mac Miller passed away at the age of 26, and he passed away 6 years ago. Such a tragic loss. And yeah, let's just get into it. Before I want to get into the disclaimer and say that viewer discretion is advised. This is for educational purposes only. So Mac Miller did pass away due to a rug overdose. He was found in his home in a crouched position. They said that he was basically looked like he was in a praying position. I wanted to show y'all a picture of the position that they said that he was found in. So it basically is going to be this one, which is the bowing one. This is a common position for people to be found in when they do OD. So just keep note of that. There's some people that say that they think he was praying before he passed away, but honestly, with the amount of in his system, it's no way he was doing that. There was also a little bit of BLOOD that was outside of his nose. Other than that, there wasn't a lot of external like wounds or anything of that nature. It seemed like he had passed away, maybe perhaps in his sleep. There was an Instagram post made on his page right before he passed, and even in that video, his like hands were shaking, and he basically that was the last post he made, and after that it is probably more likely than he passed away right after that video. Such a tragic loss, y'all. This one's to this day still hurts. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. And leave in the comments other autopsy reports y'all want me to do.
Yeah, honestly, he probably wasn't praying. What probably happened is, like she said, he took the substances and it just made him so just like weak and woozy. They kind of fell down to his knees looking like he was praying. But I've heard that the ODs that come from fent is like insane, dude. Like it takes like less than like less than like a grain of salt to like just off you, bro. It's crazy. I'd be wondering to myself that like all the fent overdoses that happened in the last couple of years, if that was all just El Mencho. Like, you know how they took out El Mencho? Like that might have been because of him. So Mac Miller might have died because of El Mencho. Possibly.
Michael Jackson just made TikTok history. Yes, you 100% heard me correctly. So for those that did not see, a couple days ago, a Michael Jackson official TikTok account was created, likely for the movie that is coming out later this year. And while that Michael Jackson official TikTok account is gaining followers at a rapid pace. In just a little bit over 2 days, the Michael Jackson official TikTok account is currently at 1.2 million followers, making it one of the fastest growing accounts in all of TikTok history. And it is also now the most followed account that was created for a deceased artist. Now, some people definitely have mixed opinions about this, that is for sure, considering that, Michael Jackson is no longer with us, and now there's an official Michael Jackson TikTok account that is, gaining millions of followers, even though he is not around. It's definitely a very interesting situation, that is for sure. Never did I think I would say that Michael Jackson was making TikTok history in 2026, but here I am, and I'm definitely just really curious to know your thoughts about all of this.
Hey man, Michael Jackson's gonna live forever, dude. Music lives on forever, so for him to get 1.2 million followers in just 2 days is absolutely insane. But if MJ was still alive to this day, I feel like he would probably be one of the few musicians that have the most followers in the world, in my opinion. UFC fighter took an UFC fighter took an LSD trip in the octagon. What are you doing? Like, imagine just tripping balls while just having fists and legs and knees and freaking elbows and forehead and all types of body parts flying at your face. Like, I don't know how you would enjoy that.
Ex-UFC fighter claims he was high on LSD while fighting in the UFC octagon. Blake Builder recently revealed on the Rise Above podcast he took LSD before his fight at UFC 289. And I remember that fight, and I remember thinking, what is this guy doing? He looks like he is on drugs. At the time, Blake Builder was an undefeated professional. He went into that fight expected to win. He was a minus 250 favorite. For some reason, this guy decided to take LSD the day of the fight. Let's just say the fight was weird, and at this point, he's down 2-0 and his corner is telling him to wake the fuck up, and he's just staring off in the distance. You know what he did after that pep talk? He went out there in the next round and got in this position and stayed there for about 30 seconds. Yeah, he lost the fight 3-0, his first ever professional loss. Then loses next fight, get cut from the UFC, and hasn't fought since. But according to him, after that day that he took LSD in the UFC octagon, he has gone sober.
I mean, I don't blame you, bro. That was probably such a weird trip. I'm not gonna lie. Like, could you all imagine that? Like, fighting someone and you're just tripping balls. Everything's just moving. Like, how do you even keep up with that? Like, you're gonna get hurt.
After the death of Mexico's most feared drug lord, a new name is moving to the top of a $20 billion criminal empire. Over the weekend, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, was captured during a Mexican Special Forces operation in Jalisco and later died in custody after a fierce shootout with his bodyguards. The response?
Yeah, man, like, it is kind of tragic what's going on in Mexico right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the citizens have to, like, go through all this garbage. Everything's blowing up. But I'm just hoping that, like, they don't do anything to, like, American citizens because, yeah, they could retaliate for El Mencho, but, like, we've seen what Trump has done in the last 3 months. So, like, if any, like, I feel like if any type of Mexican cartel emperor or leader or whatever attacks, like, America, it's over. Like, they're going to just come through, kidnap him, and it's over. Or just bomb where he's living. And even if they go into a bunker, just bunker bust that. Like, bro, like, I don't know what's going on with the U.S. lately, but, like, we're just on this roll where it's just like we're taking everything over and taking everything out. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the cartels are going to kind of, like, they just know their place when it comes to, like, the U.S. military. I mean, they're kind of a militia group regardless. They're not even, like, a real, like, military force. They're more like a militia group that just goes around terrorizing people that don't have weapons.
A 21-year-old college student from Rhode Island has died from carbon monoxide poisoning because he was sitting in his car charging his cell phone during the storm, and the exhaust pipe on his car was buried underneath the deep snow. Crazy. He had no idea that the car was filling with the deadly gas. This is a story that just absolutely crushes me. Years ago, we saw something very similar happen in Boston. A car running with 2 little kids in the back seat while their parents were digging the car out from the snow. And the same thing, the exhaust pipe was buried underneath. You never, ever want to see a tragedy like this, but we can learn from it. Anytime you're clearing out your car during a storm or you're getting inside, make sure that exhaust pipe is not covered by the snow.
Yeah, that's actually insane. Like, that's definitely, like, a scary way to die. Like, carbon monoxide poison just sneaks up on you. Like, you don't even really smell it. Like, you're just chilling one day and you're just dead the next second. Isn't that crazy? So he's probably just in his car on his phone chilling, felt a little bit tired and sleepy, and just never woke up, bro. I didn't even know that your exhaust pipe could come back in on itself because it's buried in with snow and come back into, like, your air filtration system and all that, and then just, like, kind of drown you. That's scary and crazy at the same time. Luigi prison break failed. Did he try to escape?
Someone just tried to break Luigi out of prison using a pizza cutter. What is in New York's water? On Wednesday, a 36-year-old man named Mark Anderson from Minnesota arrived at the New York jail where Luigi is being held and told the officers that he was an FBI agent with orders to free Luigi Mangione. Now, as part of his plan, he then presented the officers with paperwork that he claimed was signed by a judge ordering his release. But this brother did not come up with a plan B, because as soon as officers asked him for his FBI credentials, bro panicked and gave them his government-issued ID. How is he gonna snitch on himself mid-crime? Realizing the officers were onto him, Mark threatened he has weapons and began throwing the documents at them. After he was quickly arrested, officers found these items in his bag, which include a barbecue fork and a pizza cutter. How are you gonna schedule a prison break after lunch? Mark now faces charges of impersonating an officer, which can carry penalties including up to 4 years in prison.
Yeah, that was kind of reckless and stupid.
Being reported that an Iranian strike has now hit Dubai International Airport. This video that was just posted roughly 30 minutes ago appears to verify that claim. It shows a terminal building heavily damaged with smoke filling the air. Like I said, this just happened 30 minutes ago. We don't know much beyond that. Follow to stay updated.
I never really understood why, like, you know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of videos on Instagram and TikTok that, like, apparently Dubai is also getting hit by missiles from Iran. And I never really understood why, because, like, I didn't think Dubai did anything to Iran. So that was always quite interesting to me. But yeah, apparently they just hit one of their airports. And then again, they also hit, I think, one of their, like, hotels, like this 5-star hotel or something like that. It's crazy. There's a lot of also missile interceptions that are happening over Dubai as well. So anyone that's in Dubai right now, yeah, you definitely want to stay inside. Iran's supreme leader is dead. Literally, the war started yesterday and already he's already gone.
Holy hell, guys. It is official. Iran's supreme leader has just been confirmed to have been killed. He is dead. Donald Trump has just confirmed this in a full, long statement and called him one of the most evil people in history. Now, Khamenei's body was reportedly recovered from the rubble at his compound this morning from the strikes and apparently riddled with shrapnel wounds. That means in the first 2 months of 2026, first Maduro, then El Mucho from Mexico, the cartel leader, and now Khamenei.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm pretty sure he also, like, released a statement that I'm gonna see if I can find right now. Oh yeah, here it is. So he says, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs, with all caps. Thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking system, and working closely with Israel, there was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. He literally said, y'all couldn't do shit, boy. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many of their IRGC military and other security and police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. I don't blame them, because that was quick as hell, bro. It's actually kind of scary. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later they only get death. That's a crazy statement from a president. He basically said, yeah, you can have immunity now, but any later, you're dying. Crazy. Hopefully, the IRGC and police will respectfully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. That process should soon be starting, in that not only the death of Khamenei, but the country has been in only one day very much destroyed and even obliterated. That's a big boy word right there. He said he obliterated them. The heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. Thank you for attention to this matter, Donald Trump, pretty much. He said, peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. So we're not talking only the Middle East, we're talking the whole world. That's crazy stuff, dude. So we're honestly about to look at some videos explaining that situation now. But before we do that, I want to shout out my boy Seb TV, you know what I'm saying? I shouted out his channel my last stream. Again, he makes amazing content. He's like a low-key channel right now. So if you guys like, you know what I'm saying, the creepy content that I've done previously too, he does that, but in my opinion, a lot better. So if you guys want to check out his channel, go for it, dude. Amazing content. Shout out Seb TV. I saw that donation you did earlier. Legend. All right, we're gonna check out this Dylan Page video. He did a piece on it. Iran has clapped back. We're only gonna watch the part where he talks about Iran because apparently he goes into like some other topics, but that we don't really care about that much. And I kind of want to stick to the Iran topic because that interested me a lot. I'm not gonna lie, because they took that boy out quick as hell. So let's see it.
What a wild week. Bit of breaking news to interrupt the intro. Not one, but 2 wars have broken out since recording. One of Mr. B's editors have been referred to federal authorities and fined over $20,000. The world's elites are resigning and getting arrested left, right, and center as the Epstein situation intensifies. Bill Clinton has become the first ever former US president to be forced to testify in front of Congress. The Pope is asking priests to stop writing sermons using ChatGPT, and a new plan for Gaza proposed by FIFA and Trump's Board of Peace is getting major backlash online right now. We're going to be talking about all of that and so much more, so let's stop the yapping and let's go! Okay guys, we gotta start with some major breaking news. It is actually happening. I didn't think that I would be making this video today, but the US and Israel, they have carried out major strikes on Iran. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this one is different to what we saw last year, or at least anything that I've reported on before. This is not a single operation like we saw last year with those B-2 bombers. In fact, in Trump's own words, this is a massive and ongoing operation. He even referred to this as a war at one point in his 8-minute speech announcing the attacks. He said that American lives may be lost, but that's what happens at war. So let's break down what's been happening. So in a joint operation, the US and Israel launched a major military campaign striking 5 different cities of Iran, including their capital. The latest videos and images show large amounts of damage, suggesting that many of these missiles that came from the US and Israel did make impact and were not intercepted. We don't have any information though on the number of casualties or the extent of the damage yet. What we do know though is that the residence of Iran's supreme leader was hit, in fact, multiple times, and we can see this with satellite image.
Dude, they obliterated his compound. Like this. Oh my goodness, that's so nasty. That's nasty work. And apparently, one of the strikes took him out. Like they didn't know it took him out until I think like hours later though. Like at first they were saying that he was fine, nothing happened to him, he was okay, he's good, but then it turns out later that he did end up getting eliminated. But look at the damage, dude. This is crazy, bro. This is why dropping bombs are so scary. Like, how do you escape this?
Which is reported by the CNN, but there is no word on whether he was inside or not. It is highly unlikely that he wasn't in there because that would be an extreme failure by Iran's intelligence agency, so probably not. I assume he was in some underground bunker. Now, it didn't stop there because almost immediately after these strikes, Iran was then hit with a major wave of cyber attacks. One of the country's main apps for tracking prayer times was hacked, and it started sending Iranian citizens notifications like, "Help has arrived, and it is the time for reckoning." On top of that, a number of Iran's state news broadcasters were hacked and disrupted as well. And as you can imagine, this would almost certainly cause a bunch of confusion amongst the public, wanting to know, where the bombs are coming from, what the hell, where, which country is it coming from? But guess what? They couldn't because their news source is down. That would be scary as hell. They also had a major internet blackout. So I'm assuming some of the reason for doing this is that it would drive the people of Iran to look for other sources of news, potentially outside of the country. Now, here's where things get pretty serious, because less than an hour after the news broke that these strikes had actually made impact, Donald Trump then posted about an 8-minute speech saying some hugely significant things. And it was from this speech that we got the indication that this is not going to be a one-day operation. This will be ongoing for the foreseeable future. This looks like war. Trump started off with the history of Iran, that they've been chanting death to America for 47 years. He then said that Iran had missiles that can now reach Europe, which is unsettling as someone who lives in Europe, and that they soon too could develop missiles that could hit the US homeland. Now, he stated multiple times, as we've heard before, that Iran can never have nuclear weapons, but unlike times before, it seems that the US now, at least from what we gathered from this speech, have much bigger ambitions. He directly addressed Iran's armed forces, saying, lay down your weapons and you will be given full immunity. If you don't, you will face certain death.
I say tonight,
which is crazy,
that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death.
He said that they were going to annihilate their navy, destroy their missiles, and raise their missile industry to the ground. He then addressed the Iranian people, and this is where things are truly, when I was hearing this, I was like, damn. He said, the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay in your homes. It's going to be very dangerous. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. And when we are finished, take over your government. It is yours to take, and this will probably be your only chance for generations. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. This is your one moment for action. Do not let it pass. You see what I mean? This is not just about Iran having nukes anymore. This is clearly about a regime change in the country. Now, at one point, not only did Trump acknowledge that American lives will be lost and there could be casualties, and saying that often happens at war, but he also said about 4 or 5 times in this speech to pray for the brave American men and women who are carrying out this operation. Now, Netanyahu also echoed the same sentiment. He said to the people of Israel, in the coming days in Operation Roar of the Lion, we will all be required to have endurance and fortitude. Now, on that note, less than a couple of hours after all of this went down, Iran's response began. Missile strikes from Iran were reported in several Gulf countries, including Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Saudi, and Bahrain. They were obviously trying to, at least from what we know, target US bases. Embassies from multiple countries, including the US, UK, and Canada, started urging their citizens to take shelter, have a supply of food, water, medication, and other essential items. They asked them to keep their phones charged, monitor the news, let family and friends know how you are, if you're okay. Honestly, pretty doomsday stuff. Explosions were heard in Dubai, not the kind of thing that you would expect in Dubai. Obviously the world's tallest building, Burj Khalifa, that had to be evacuated after you could literally see missiles being intercepted above. The US Navy base, the 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, that was hit by a missile. The country's National Communications Center confirmed that this key US naval base was subject to a missile attack, but they didn't give any information on the extent of that damage and if there were any casualties there. Qatar Airways, Emirates, and many other airways suspended flights, because a huge portion of the entire region closed their airspace. And in fact, the UAE, immediately after this, they issued an official statement saying that they reserve the right to respond to Iran's missile attacks after one person in Abu Dhabi was killed by falling debris in residential area.
Yeah, man, I heard that a lot of people right now are completely stuck. There's even, I've heard it's not no one I know, but I've seen online where this person was flying, I think it was to Dubai, and they had to do like a whole U-turn and turn around because that airspace was completely shut once Trump was saying that, oh yeah, we're sending missiles over there to blow them up and stuff. Yeah, a lot of people right now are stuck where they're at. There's no planes flying over there, which makes sense because bombs are literally like zooming at other countries. So it's crazy right now for those people in the Middle East.
UAE called it a dangerous escalation. So, you're probably wondering, how bad is this? What happens from here? Well, 1, not gonna lie to you, it's pretty serious. And 2, expect this to unfold over the next few days and potentially even weeks. It really depends on how severe Iran responds to these attacks. Even right now, as I'm recording, Iran is launching another wave of missiles towards Israel. And reporters from CNN said that they spoke with a senior official who says that the US has planned an escalating series of strikes with off-ramps along the way. They say each round will be over within a 1 or 2 day period, with pauses to reset and assess battle damages. And obviously, giving them that break to be like, Iran, you gonna lay down your weapons yet? Okay, no, another freaking round. So, I wish this was a bit more of a structured way of telling you what's going down, but this is just all chaos today. Make sure you subscribe because I know a lot of stuff is gonna happen over the weekend. You don't wanna miss early next week's video, recapping everything, all of the developments that you're gonna be missing from now on. So yeah, see you then. That's if we live to see the day. No, I'm joking. We will be fine, I hope. Moving on. Okay, it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much the segment I want to check out. There's another video I want to show y'all, but let me see if he actually created another video real quick. Nah, he didn't. But there's this video. It's called How the US and Israel Attacked Iran Inside Operation Epic Fury. This is going to give us a good depiction of like their plan and like what they did to take out Khamenei, their supreme leader.
How did the US and Israel launch a preemptive strike against Iran? Well, they used a devastating tactic called time on target. With 2 aircraft carriers and a fleet of destroyers, they calculated the exact math so Israeli jets and US cruise missiles hit their marks at the exact same second. Israel's main goal is assassinating Khamenei and the top leadership, while the US pounded military targets and other high-value industry. But why did Iranian air defenses fail to activate? Because the US fights with a different kind of technology using electronic warfare from space, sea, and air. They completely blinded the Iranian radar just as destroyers launched a swarm of cruise missiles to wipe out the anti-air systems. But wait, the war is still not over. Iran still has thousands of ballistic missiles and drones, so they hit American and Middle East allied bases, and right now, almost everyone is an open target. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a major coordinated military offensive against Iran. Israeli officials have called their offensive operation Roar the Lion, while the US operation has been referred to as Operation Epic Fury. The message behind the Israel and US strike was clear. This wasn't just a show of force. This was a targeted move to assassinate the supreme leader of Iran. As stated, this wasn't just a random military strike. The ultimate target was the supreme leader's own compound. Missiles dialed in on highly sensitive areas. We're talking specifically around University Street, the Jamhuri district, and near Pastor Street. If you know the layout of Tehran, you know exactly what this means. This zone isn't just another neighborhood. It is the absolute nerve center of the Iranian government. It houses the primary, day-to-day offices of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But here's the catch. The IDF says they got him. An Iranian military says Khamenei was not inside his offices when the missiles actually made an impact. The strike may have leveled the compound, but the target slipped away. And right now, the entire region is holding its breath waiting to see what happens next.
That's what they claimed, though. They claimed he slipped away at first, but now that they've, I don't know who told them, but apparently a mold in the Iranians military, or that's close to the commander, or the supreme leader, I should say, said that he's dead. So, like, you know what I'm saying? They probably made this video before that news came out because they said he slipped away, but apparently that did not happen. But at first they did think that he was alive and he didn't get hit by that.
But reports says Israel says Khamenei's body has been found and he's confirmed
never mind.
Dead.
He just confirmed it.
Listen, that first wave, it didn't hold back, not even a little. We're talking about a perfectly synchronized, overwhelming assault. The entire goal was to blind and cripple the regime all at once. First, they hit Karaj, just completely ripping through their critical industrial and aerospace hubs. Then, Tehran, the capital, rocked. Any illusion of safety they had was just completely shattered. They didn't stop there. They struck Qom, sending absolute shockwaves right through the ideological heart of the country. And if you follow this stuff, you know exactly how heavily fortified that area is. Over in the west, missiles literally rained down on Kermanshah. They neutralized those launch sites before the operators could even think about powering up their radars. And then there's Isfahan, the absolute crown jewel of their nuclear and drone programs. Heavily defended, didn't matter, it just lit up the night sky. But how did the US and Israel actually pull off a preemptive strike on Iran? First of all, look at this map. To make this happen, they didn't just rely on local land bases. They brought 2 massive floating cities right to Iran's doorstep. Down in the Arabian Sea, you've got the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group bearing down on the south and east. And over in the eastern Mediterranean, the biggest, newest ship, USS Gerald R. Ford. While Israeli jets flew all the way across the Middle East to reach Iranian airspace, timing was absolutely critical. The moment those IDF jets reached their marks, the missiles were released. And that brings us to the most terrifying, complicated part of this entire operation, the synchronization. Military planners rely on a tactic called time on target. Look at this map. You have missiles firing from submarines, cruise missiles launching from escort ships, and massive payload drops from stealth bombers. They are all deploying from completely different locations at entirely different times. But here is the genius of it. The US military machine was mathematically choreographed so everything impacted Kairaj, Tehran, Qom, Kermanshah, and Isfahan at the exact same second the Israeli jets dropped their guided bombs. It was designed to be a total systemic shock and explodes at the same time. A move to collapse the regime instantly. When those munitions finally hit, it was pure shock and awe. But why did the Iranian air defenses fail to activate? Well, to put it simply, the US military operates in a completely different league. Using a highly advanced mix of electronic warfare and cyber operations, coordinated from space to the ground, the coalition was able to inject false data directly into Iranian radar screens. Top-tier Iranian air defense systems like their homegrown Baver and their Russian-supplied batteries were absolutely overwhelmed by this electronic assault. But to actually hunt them down, the US set a brilliant trap. They launched hundreds of ABM-160 MALDs, miniature air-launched decoys. To a panicked Iranian radar operator staring at a chaotic screen, these tiny drones look exactly like a massive squadron of F-15s or F-16s screaming toward the capital. With the door kicked wide open, 5th-generation stealth fighters, including both US and Israeli F-35s with possible F-22 Raptors, sliced through the airspace completely undetected. Ultimately, the Iranian air defense network wasn't just suppressed, it was completely dismantled, at least for the time period. Because the Iranian do have a huge firepower. Tehran has fired back. In Operation Truthful Promise 4, a massive wave of missiles and drones just targeted US bases in Israel. Here's the fallout. The UAE's Al Dhafar air base was hit, leaving one dead from shrapnel. In Bahrain, the US Navy's 5th Fleet HQ was directly targeted. Qatar's air defenses successfully wiped out incoming missiles, while Kuwait locked down its entire airspace under heavy fire. Meanwhile, nationwide sirens are blasting across Israel, with massive mid-air interceptions lighting up the skies over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. If you don't want your phone and emails to get compromised like that, you should get this military-grade VPN.
Yeah, that's crazy, gang. Yo, hold on. Let me switch it up. Well, that's crazy, chat. It feels like we're honestly going towards like World War III if it hasn't even started yet. No, bro. No one cares about this ad. World War III on the way.
To fly all the way to Iran. At 9 in the morning, Israel launched more than a dozen aircraft, but it's a complicated process. They have to navigate or entirely bypass the airspace of neighboring countries like Syria and Iraq. To avoid hostile air defenses, defense analysts estimate the actual flight distance to reach central Iran is between 930 and 1,240 miles each way. Although these routes may seem straightforward, they involve complex planning, including calculations for air refueling and coordinating attack aircraft to pass through Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. Israel and US strategy was to attack Iran in 3 waves. The first wave targeted surface air-to-air sites, radar installations, and Iran's air defense headquarters in Tehran, Elam, and Khuzestan. The second wave focused on destroying ballistic missiles, and finally, the third wave targeted military manufacturing industries. Kicking down the door. The attack begins not with manned aircraft, but with robotic precision from the sea. The goal is simple: blind the enemy's eyes, their radars, and silence their voice, their command and control. In the Persian Gulf and the Northern Arabian Sea, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, ships like the USS Thomas Hudner, receive the launch order. The vertical launch system cells hiss open, and moments later, dozens of Tomahawk land attack missiles erupt from the decks. These missiles fly at subsonic speeds, humming the terrain in what we call nap of the Earth flight to stay below the radar horizon. They are programmed to loiter and strike simultaneously. Their warheads slam into S-300 and S-400 radar sites and command bunkers. They degrade the integrated air defense system, effectively carving out safe corridors for the pilots who are minutes behind them. 30 minutes past each hour, while the Tomahawks are still impacting, the silver bullets of the U.S. Air Force are already deep inside hostile airspace. These are the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, with the air defense network fractured by Tomahawk cruise missiles, usually fired from destroyers hundreds of miles away. The path is now clear. Now comes the strategic sites like nuclear bunkers, which can be bombed by B-2 Spirit, the tip of the spear. Launching from bases in Jordan and the UAE, squadrons of F-15E Strike Eagles roar into the theater. These are the bomb trucks of the operation. Each F-15 is heavily laden with GDAMs and small-diameter bombs. Interestingly, it can carry up to 19 GDAMs or 28 small-diameter weapons. While the B-2s hit the deep bunkers, the F-15s hunt the mobile targets.
That's crazy.
Their 80 SA radars scan the ground for ballistic missile launchers hiding in valleys. Working in pairs, they drop precision bombs on missile convoys, hangars, and secondary command nodes. Once they are Winchester, out of ammo, or low on fuel, they don't go home yet. They connect to this tanker common launch tube that fits into almost any aircraft's existing fuel hatch. They retreat to those tanker tracks established in Phase 1, taking on thousands of pounds of jet fuel in midair before turning back for a second sortie. 2 hours pass each hour. To sustain the pressure, the U.S. Navy's floating air bases enter the fight. Cruising in the Arabian Sea, a carrier strike group turns into the wind. Steam and electromagnetic catapults begin launching aircraft every 30 seconds. F/A-18 Super Hornets launch carrying anti-radiation missiles. Their job is DAD, destruction of enemy air defenses. They are hunting down any surviving radar operators foolish enough to turn their systems on. Meanwhile, F-35 Sea Lightning push forward to gather intelligence and strike high-threat targets that the older jets cannot reach. Orbiting far behind them are the E-2D Hawkeyes, the quarterbacks in the sky, managing the massive traffic of hundreds of U.S. jets. By sunrise, the first wave is over. The eyes of the enemy air defense have been blinded by Tomahawks. The heart of the nuclear program has been crushed by B-2s. And the limbs of the missile forces have been severed by F-15 and carrier aircraft. We make original videos from scratch, so please do subscribe and...
Yes, so that pretty much shows like the whole operation in just one setting. Like, it's crazy how they literally just came in and just eliminated everyone, bro.